Yes. First of all, nowadays in France and also in all other countries, you should make a postdoc 1 or 2 years, and typically it's now 2 years. So actually, you should find a postdoc position which is not completely different from your PhD studies, but which allows you perhaps to open a little bit to something else also. Somehow to increase your competencies.
Okay.
And you should typically, if you are a French student, they look at positions abroad, but you should go to a country or to a research group for your postdoctoral position, which is also strong. It's not only that, yes, you by yourself, you are interested in this and you want to go exactly to this country because you like this country. You should think that this is only something temporary, and it's important, it's following of your training. It's important that this period of 2 years is most profitable for you. And you must always think that this is part of training, and your final goal is to get a permanent position or job, either in research or somewhere else. Well, here I come back to what you said. You must be open-minded.
Yes.
In this way, that often I see students who really want to do exactly this type of research, and they are very interested in this. And whatever happens, they want to do this type of research. And this, I would say that might not be always very profitable for students. In this sense, you should be a little bit open-minded, because you should always think that your final goal is to find a job in the end.
Yes.
You are in a training phase. And it's also interesting to have, like I said, some other type of training, not only continue in your own road, which might be very important. I don't say that it is not important, but in this sense, stay a little bit open-minded and accept a little bit wider views, which might help you in the end get your position. And then always keep in mind that if you go to research in any way, your research domain is going to change, because this is even the definition of research.
Yeah.
We are going to find new things, new interesting things. So you are not always doing the same thing in your career. So there are a lot of possibilities afterwards to evolve. If you want to absolutely do theoretical physics, but there are more positions for experimental physics, you must not think that, yes, being experimental physicist, you have no way to do theoretical physics. This is after, when you get your job in research, in academic research, you will have certain liberty. And like I said, research in itself is also evolving. So there will be a lot of interesting things ahead of you.
It's not a first job position for me to become a consultant. What really is important for a doctor to realize that their added value on the market is really their technical expertise. And so when you get a PhD, okay, you have 3 years experience and you are you become you are going to become an expert, but you are not yet. And so the first position, what I would recommend if you want to join industry or to be consultant, is first to enter in industry and to look at research and development position. And at least for 3 to 5 years, to really do some industrial research in a company. But you have to select your company, because it's not equivalent to be an engineer and to be a doctor. And what the company are looking for by hiring some doctor is their cutting edge technology, and they different way, the different mind, because the skills of doctors are really creativity, innovation, collaboration. It's different. An engineer, he has to be organized to understand some specification given by a customer, and then to build based on this specification and to reach this specification in the time that is dedicated. In a scientific really has, it's a longer term, mid-term, long-term, you know. Engineer is short-term, mid-term, you know, so that's quite a different culture. So really you have to focus on research and development and to companies that has this culture. I had the maturity, I would say, to grow my own business, and I as well, because I found that freedom of decision, having my own vision, was important for me. And in big companies, you don't have this freedom, and you cannot choose everything. You can choose, of course, but so I wanted really to have this freedom and the possibility to choose the subject I wanted to work on, to choose the kind of people I'm dealing with, and to organize my time as well, to have a better as well a better repartition between my private life and my professional life, and so really I found this equilibrium, in fact, between the two by doing my own business. In fact, in the executive committee and so on, it's kind of peer-to-peer, you know, so the men tends to apply for men to be manager and so on. And as well, I would say the big issue, in fact, for me in industry is between 30 and 40 when you have children. In fact, because it's not the fact to have children, but it's the fact to have, it's not an issue for the first child, it's an issue for the second or the third child, because when you are having your young children, at the same time you are growing in your career, so you have a lot of constraints, and the industry is not dimensioned for women. It's created by men and it's managed by men, and so that's not that easy. And in my personal experience, but maybe it's because my generation, 80% of my colleagues that did the PhD with me just left industry. And they left because it was too difficult between their private life, and so they moved to teaching. In fact, most of them, they moved to teaching, and it wasn't at the university level, it was usually at the primary school level. So I really, that's why I'm doing some action on that. I created a group in my professional federation to work on that issue, because really it's a huge issue. I would say you know, the French society is losing a lot of competencies like that, because you have very qualified women, and they just, at the moment, they just say, well, that's too much, and that's too much for that, you know, because they are, at the same time, they are a little bit, it's harder to get the position, the higher position, and it's more difficult in their life, you know. But it's changing.
So there are lots of, there are lots of pluses. There are also some minuses. On the plus side, I enjoy the variety of finding different ways to do research. Every institution, every country has a different culture. And also a different research culture, and so that's been inspiring. I have to say that the choices were, except for that first choice of wanting to study somewhere outside of Germany, which was really just a, I wanted, it was sort of a little bit of an adventure that I wanted to see what life was like elsewhere. But after that, it was really driven by just thinking about what places would be great to do research in, and amongst the choices that I had, what would be the really the most exciting places to go, and that would allow me to develop as a researcher and as a professor and where I could learn the most. Really, that was those were the choices, and the environment. So the environment, so the questions of different countries, that it's allowed me to have a wide range of experiences. Living in the US, traveling there, you get to know a new different continent. One of the things about being a scientist is that, at least in pre-COVID times, it involves a lot of travel, and I've always enjoyed, especially when I've really gone to places that I had not seen before. So spending some time in India, for example, spending some time in Africa, also, were inspiring in all kinds of ways. So that intellectual richness really is a big plus. And astrophysics has become a larger, and cosmology has become a larger field, but still, it's not as large as medicine, for example, where there, a conference will have tens of thousands of people. And so keeping that network of cherished contacts and people to discuss research with in lots of different places is also a good reason to be open to new cultural experiences. On the downside, there's a lot of paperwork. When you're moving to another country, you have to get new bank accounts. You have to find out how renting a place works. There are all these inconveniences, but I think on balance, it's a plus to have that international experience, because it changes you. One is to try to give online talks. Attend online meetings. A lot of journal clubs in various places now have moved online, so you can participate remotely. It's still true that publishing papers is a good idea, and just using all the ways we have to communicate about that, even when we're not in the room together. One aspect in cosmology that's becoming more and more important, not just in cosmology, I'm sure, is code, so software. So when you have developed tools that could be useful to other people, make them available online, publish your code, make it not just available, but usable. And that can often have major impacts. I just recently saw on Twitter somebody who was an author of a code to do Markov chain Monte Carlo. It turns out that they had more citations to that paper, which is available code online, than the big discovery of baryon acoustic oscillations in the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, which is a sort of cornerstone paper of cosmology, and they had many more citations than that. So tools can be very important, and can and I think are becoming, justly so, becoming more and more recognized. So make your tools available, engage in whatever way you can using the tools that the computation, like the online, video, email, Slack, all the different communication tools that we have available to become more and more visible. Mm-hmm. And use your advisor, because your advisor has a network, and so they can put you in touch. Because you don't run into someone by chance at a conference. but your advisor may write a quick email to say, oh, by the way, this is my student, would you, and they have a question, would you like to discuss with them? And then you've made a contact and given them an introduction.